there's a new Thor movie coming.
Woohoo!
Oh, yes.
I guess you guys have all seen the trailer for it.
I
have
seen the trailer, and I'll correct you, Drinker. Is it really a Thor movie? I don't know. It seems more like a Jane Foster movie.
Just for like canvassing opinion here, right? Show of hands. Who's excited to see this film? Oh wait, really?
Well, after I saw that she actually really did work out, I got okay. And I'm a Taika Waititi fan. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt.
I love Jojo Rabbit. I love Hunt for the Wilder People. Those are the kind of movies that he excels at.
Yeah, they're fantastic, exceptional.
And I sort of understand how he rescued the Thor movies, because they were just kind of stodgy and they didn't really have a strong sense of identity, and they were kind of shit. And he brought out Thor Ragnarok, and it was just a breath of fresh air. Looking back on it now, for me, it's too goofy. I think they kind of do Thor a disservice. I think he plays second fiddle to Valkyrie for most of the film and just kind of gets led from place to place by her. And I don't feel like it really added to his character. If anything, I think it took away from it. But I sort of understand the necessity of doing it. I just didn't feel like we needed another one. And here we are. We've got it because there's an original Avenger that's still alive. So I guess we've got to
destroy it. Maybe. Okay, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I'm not excited. I'm worried about this one. Same for Multiverse.
My only criticism will be if the trailer is bait and switch.
That's very likely.
Then I'll be mad.
I would be willing to bet this is Valkyrie's story and Female Thor's story.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll never fucking convince me that Natalie Portman has arms like that. Those are CGI arms, for sure.
CGI arms.
So that is I mean, look, that's what I used to do. I was a teacher. Like, I taught people anatomy and physiology. I can say with the utmost certainty that's not what she looks like. Like, it's not. Yeah. If you line it up, and this is a professional opinion, if you line it up with the set photo as well, it's not one and the same. Not even remotely one and the same.
Yeah.
And people crying on the internet about it as well. No, you're just misinformed. There's no amount of lighting that will do that. There's not. Like, muscular structure doesn't work like that.
Mr. H, can I introduce you to a little game called The Last of Us 2? I want to hear your opinions on
I was one of those ones that got copyright blocked and all that by Muso Limited. Bloody I know all about that.
Yeah, so you shouldn't have bothered with that to try and ruin them. You should just play their game and then have people watch you do that. That's the best way to criticize that game. I've been watching Az play it. It's funny.
Yeah, he was just fucking hating me the whole time because I made him play it so we could do a
he's so miserable.
Yeah. He messaged me at one point, like near the end, and he was like, "How much longer?"
I'm at the point in his playthrough where he's like, I've got 10 hours before I have to do the Drinker podcast, and I think there's about 10 hours left of this game, so here we go.
Yeah, he finished it like minutes before we did our live stream about it, and he was just fucking raging the whole time.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Thor 4, what's your guys' impressions of this trailer? I'd kind of like a little bit of a round table.
In case someone is like, wait, what do you mean bait and switch? So that trailer, and I'm assuming, is it right if I call you Paul?
Yeah.
I assume so. I assume you have a similar perspective that trailer makes it seem like it's about him, the film, and it's about him figuring out what's going on in his life, and there's a bit of interaction that's going to be pretty fun with the Guardians. That's probably going to be 5 minutes at most, and then they're gone. And then the part about him is more so probably going to be that he's like, I don't want to do fighting no more. And then the new Thor will be like, fighting good, you should. And he's going to be like, maybe you were right after. And if we get that, man, I swear to God.
That's my point.
That's going to be like, you've shown me the way. You're more worthy to be Thor than I am. I'm just going to go aside and make way for you.
Please, no.
Fucking hell, man. It's the MCU. Gary called it, and it's exactly right. You can set your watch.
That's what they did in the comics, so that's what they're going to... That's, they only like to reference source material when it benefits whatever goofy-ass narrative they have, so... That's what happened. They used characters like Odin and Thor to try to validate Jane Foster's existence, so they would write them in to basically be representative of the audience, and they'd say, "Hey, Odin's like, Thor, what the fuck? It's your name. How do you have this damn woman going around acting like you?" And then Thor would say, "Well, she's way better suited to be Thor than I am," type shit.
Oh, great.
So, be absolutely anticipate certainly that, because that's the direction that this Marvel Cinematic Universe certainly is going. But it will be also just par for the course for what we're seeing. We got this King Valkyrie fucking thing that I still don't fucking understand what they're trying to do with that.
Nobody does.
So she had a sex change between movies, then she's got a dick now.
That's what it is. That makes more sense now.
And the same expression for every single movie. And she's also wearing the suit from MIB, didn't you know?
Yeah.
Money says
pantsuit
from one
I don't know if you saw it, but Gary put a tweet out. It was like the many faces of Tessa Thompson.
Yeah.
It's just her with that same fucking look on her face in every movie.
Terrible actress. Absolutely awful.
Why does she keep getting gigs? Like, she must know where the bodies are buried or something.
I mean, we've seen images of nothing. Yeah, who knows?
Talent. Very
talent.
Very
raw acting talent.
Raw talent.
The thing that jumped out at me was that line from him where he said, "I've got to find out who I really am."
I'm tired of that shit. To be honest,
he's done the 3 movies.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's boring.
3 goddamn movies.
Even aside from the other bullshit that I'm gonna obviously take issue with, just because this is all fake at this point. But yeah, like, why do we have to see yet again Thor? Oh, I gotta go find myself.
It's also not that, like, you gotta remember, in universe he's been alive for thousands of years.
Yeah.
So why is he now just finding himself in the last 10 years?
So much.
So what?
There's so much wrong with it, because like they clearly, I don't know if it's a matter of it because it's passing through different writers, or if because they just genuinely don't know what to do with him. But the fact that he was like pretty static-ish after his first film up until Ragnarok, where he's just like almost a completely different person, almost.
It's like a brain aneurysm or something.
And then like you get Ragnarok kind of ignores a little bit, giving him the moments of realizing like what it means to have lost his entire civilization, most of his people, his father, his brother. Infinity War is the one that says like, "Oh, we'll do that," and he has like much more darker colors, and he's like on a revenge tour to kill Thanos. You're like, okay, I'm seeing the through line now. All right, where are we going with this? Like, he's fat now. You're like, oh,
I have a theory.
I will never fucking get over that, man.
No,
well, so the point I'm making is like, if you take up the mantle of Thor's character arc after the Russos shat all over it, you're like,
this is. You could draw a general story arc for him up until that point of he needs to learn all of the traits that are going to prepare him for being ruler of Asgard. He first needed to learn humility because he was arrogant and he was untested, and so he learns that. Then he needs to let go of his family attachments, like he loses his mother, and he loses Loki ultimately. Those things teach him that he can't necessarily rely on the family ties that have sustained him throughout most of his life. Then he loses a lot of his civilization. That gets destroyed as well. And all of those things should be enough to really jolt him into action and say, like, you've now suffered, you've been through adversity, you've learned humility. You've even lost your father. He's the ruler of Asgard who was there before you is now gone as well. Now it's your time to step up and take on this role that you've been preparing for your whole life. Everything
that's Valkyrie
brought you to this.
Yeah, they just
and
gave
what
it
is
Valkyrie.
he doing with it?
Valkyrie.
Now he's just like, I don't want to do it. Like, Valkyrie, you can be king now. I'm just going to leave and find myself
like, again.
Fucking what self-indulgent bullshit is this?
My theory is, and I've watched a whole bunch of stuff lately, everything's being turned into Friends, an episode of Friends.
Yeah.
If you think about it and you let the movie resonate, you're going, oh my God, it's Friends. Everyone's yammering to each other. People are shooting off funny gags that should not be gagging on anything. Why is everyone having a joke? Like, what? Where'd this all come from?
The MCU's always done this, but like Ragnarok really took it to the next level.
Yeah, I agree.
Like probably 60% comedy and about 40% serious stuff.
I think the ratio is like 80-20 in Ragnarok.
Yeah, actually, I'm being generous.
I think what's a shame is that everyone's using that as an excuse why this one has to be a comedy as well. It's like, look, just because 1/3 of the films that came before this now fourth entry was a comedy doesn't mean this one has to be comedy as well. And I think as well, like Taika Waititi, if you look at the trailer again, like Korg, Taika Waititi's character, is basically his buddy for the whole movie by the looks of things. So he's just inserted himself into the film, which I mean denotes a certain amount of ego, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Which is a shame as well, because if that's part of, if that's in your frontal lobe when you're writing something, then how does that, dictate the quality for the rest of the film as well? If one of the big deciders is how much of the film I can put myself in as well, which I think is a big shit.
I think, to go back to the point you made there about, like, one of these movies was basically a comedy. And so that was the successful one. And so the mindset is simply, we're just going to keep doing the same shit again, because that is the thing that makes us the most money. And this isn't the time now to do another goofy comedy with Thor. Like, you need to do something else with him. Or, my preference would be just don't do anything with him really and move it along to something else. But they obviously will, because Hemsworth's available and there's money to be made, so they'll keep doing it. But yeah, his role, I think, in this film is just going to be to realize that he's not worthy enough to be Thor and to wield the hammer, and he's going to pass it off to Jane Foster, little Natalie person.
I feel like it's really likely that he'll be uncomfortable with her doing it at first, and then by the end of the film, he'll be like, you know what, you deserve it more than I do. And it's going to be like,
again, that would be par for the course for what they did with that character in 2014, 2015 when they wrote that shit. And to be fair, I think that's going to happen, because that's, again, what they're doing with the rest of this universe. You got to understand, like, for those that haven't been keeping up with this shit, of course that would make more sense that they would go forward with her being Thor, considering that, look at the other characters that they're introducing. It's the same shit from all new, all different Marvel. We got Kamala Khan, she's on the way. Ironheart is getting their own show. Nobody asked for that shit. Who else is America Chavez is apparently supposed to have a more prominent role in
absolutely no one asked for Ms. Marvel. Christ.
Yeah, like, so
no one asked
not even Muslims asked for Ms. Marvel, quite frankly. no one wants Ms. Marvel.
That's what I'm saying. Like, no, these are characters nobody asked for, but all of them for the most part were developed, or like they really had a hard push for them at the same time. Like, it was Jane Foster, it was Kamala Khan, and a couple of years after that it was what's her name, fucking Riri Williams. We saw what they tried to do with Kate Bishop. I know she was introduced a little before, but it was around that era when they really tried to, like, with West Coast Avengers and all that, they were really trying to push this character. So that's the era that we're basically about to. If you want to know what the fuck's about to happen, and as weird as this shit is, I wouldn't advise going to read that dog shit, but you can pick up on a lot of what they're going to do based upon that all new, all different era of Marvel. And it was terrible. DC seemed to want to do the same exact thing. They're like, hey, that was one of the most terrible kind of runs that we've ever had in comics. We should do that too.